Hello friends, I'm making my sourdough. Let me tell you what's in this jar. Last night, it's 8:30 in the morning right now. Last night I put 50 grams of starter in this jar with 80 grams of flour and 80 grams of water. The flour I used was half and half whole wheat and white, so you can do the math, 40-40. The reason I use grams is that I got used to using a digital scale for all of these things rather than rather than using measuring cups to get volume, because it is 20 times faster and easier. Here's the digital scale. You put a bowl down and then you just throw things into it and you can see the numbers go up and you don't have to have multiple cups measuring everything out. It's also more accurate. So I have what is called a levain here, which is the fed sourdough starter. 50 grams starter, straight from the fridge if you like. 80 grams water, 80 grams flour. That's been sitting around since last night. It almost doubled in size. Then I took a bowl and I added my ingredients to the bowl by weight. So I put in about 690 grams of white or unbleached bread flour and 150 grams of whole wheat flour. And then I also threw in a big heaping tablespoon of salt. The people generally say to put 20 grams of salt. I like to use a lot of salt. There are also people who don't add the salt until later in the process, and I used to follow that, but now I can't be bothered, so I just throw it in at the beginning. That's the only thing in the bowl, although sometimes I throw in a little bit of something called diastatic malt powder, which supposedly helps with rise and browning. I don't want you to think that you have to go out and buy diastatic malt powder. It's optional. But when I do it, I'll put in 2 or 3 teaspoonfuls, not very much. Again, only thing in the bowl, 690 white bread flour, 150 whole wheat flour, and 20 grams of salt, although in my case, I was a little heavy-handed with that. This step, I use this whisk because I like to be able to mix up my dry ingredients to make sure they're all blended. The whisk with little balls on it. And then I'm going to get my spoon here. All right. Last step before making bread is to add 560 grams of water. I re-tared my scale. That says 0 now. This process is called the autolyse process, and it allows your gluten to start to develop before you even add the yeast from the starter. I'm going to add 560 grams of water. Be careful when you add your water by weight because water is heavy and it'll fill up faster than you think. I don't know if you can see the scale. 558. Boop. Okay. Here we go. Got this. Now, the process of mixing the water in to these ingredients is probably my least favorite part because it gets a little lumpy. And this dough, without the starter added yet, is not as hydrated as it will be at the end when we add the wet starter. So it's a little dry. So you gotta kind of work to just make sure all of your moisture is incorporated in here and that you don't have dry, clumpy lumps on the bottom. Even if you do, you can get them out later, but it's easier if you just take the extra time to kind of make sure this is all incorporated right now. So I just take a big spoon and kind of stab around at it. We're gonna come back in anywhere between a half an hour and 4 hours. Doesn't matter. I usually enjoy making sourdough because a lot of the timings are not critical. What we're trying to do is, like I said, give the protein strands a chance to start forming. And I am going to go do a workout class on my video. It starts at 9, so I will probably come back here at around 10 to continue the process. This is what it looks like after I've mixed it in preparation for it to auto-lease itself. Just has a bunch of stab marks from where I stabbed it with a spoon. We're back, it's 10 o'clock. I have my flour and water mix that's been auto-leasing for about an hour. I have my levain, which is the fed starter. Just gonna scoop that all in there. Right on top. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. Good enough. Now, the idea is to mix this in, and I usually do it with my hand. But you gotta get your hand wet. Usually I do that in the sink. The sink's over there, so I got a bowl of water. And you see how I'm just grabbing the edges and smashing the flour and water mixture in with the starter. I would say that this is not exactly kneading, it's more like mixing. And you don't have to overdo it, just mix it in until just when it feels like it's uniform. Do this a few more times. The beauty of this is that it doesn't have to be perfectly mixed because you're gonna let it hang out for a bit. Now, this is what it looks like. Like that. I'm gonna let that hang out for about a half an hour or an hour, whatever. Boop. It's 10:45. Oh, let's see what happened. Looks the same. Now you're gonna take some water on your hand from the sink. I suggest you wash your hands before you do this, but you're gonna bake the heck out of this thing anyway, so, you know, do as you will. This is what we call stretch and fold. I'm not kneading it, I'm just grabbing, oh look, I'm just grabbing the side of it, fold it over. I rotated the bowl 90 degrees, grab another side of it, fold it over, rotate the bowl 90 degrees, grab a side of it, okay, this is the third side, stretch, fold, and then final rotate. I think what we did was 4, because there are 4 directions. Fold. This is already starting to feel like dough. And I kind of flip it over so the side that was on the bottom is now on the top. No reason. Cover. And I have a phone call at 11, so I'll probably come back at 12-ish. It's 12 o'clock now. I came back and I'm gonna do the same thing. Wet hand, stretch and fold, stretch, fold. Turn 90 degrees, stretch, fold. Turn 90 degrees, stretch, stretch, stretch and fold, stretch and fold, stretch and fold. Boom, that's it. And then maybe flip it over for no particular reason. And then show it to you, okay? I'm gonna do that maybe one more time, and then I'm gonna let the whole thing sit for about an hour and a half, okay? I'm back. I lost track of time. Somewhere around 1 o'clock or 1:30, I think I did another stretch and fold. And then I was gonna come back over here and do the rest of this. Probably was supposed to be about an hour ago, but oops, I forgot. And guess what? Probably doesn't matter. Dough. Here's something you can do to check to see that your dough is ready. It's called the window pane test. I never do this, but I'm showing it to you. Okay, this is to see if there's enough gluten development. You take your dough, do you see what I'm doing? And you try to make it into a membrane that you can sort of see light through. Can you see that? Any case, that's what they call the window pane test. I don't usually do that. I just call it done. Okay, this is gonna make 2 loaves. I suggest you clean off your counter, but again, your mileage may vary because you're gonna bake this at 500 degrees. So do as you like. The first loaf shaping, I'll show you how I do it because I have a bench scraper. I kind of eyeball this thing and I say, where's half? I like it to be even loaves, but what can you do? Cut it in half. Okay, put that thing over there. Take this one, flop, stretch, fold. Stretch, fold. Rotate. Stretch, fold. Stretch, fold. Now that I have a sort of shaped loaf, I usually put a little water on my bench scraper. And I have to admit that this is the tricky part. It takes a little bit of, I don't know, trying, I guess. I'm trying to use the bench scraper to create some friction with the ball so that it rolls up against the counter. And the whole idea is to sort of get a tight skin of gluten on the outside of this ball. The idea is you want a tight outer skin on here. You have a little air bubble, you can just pop it. Okay, then we put that one aside. Put it aside. Do the same thing on that one. I forgot, I don't want to do this the same way because I was going to show you what to do if you don't have a bench scraper. No, just start the same way, stretch and fold, stretch and fold, stretch and fold, and stretch and fold. And then I do this thing where I just kind of create that gluten on the outside, the kind of web that goes around the ball by doing this with my finger. This is a technique that doesn't have a name that I made up. Where I just kind of grab the stuff from the outside and roll it into the inside. And then it has like a tight little baby bum. Okay, there you go. So, bench scraper, not bench scraper. That one's been relaxing. Now I'm going to show you what to do if you have a Banneton proofing basket and if you don't. If you have one, take rice flour. This sounds exotic, but you make it by putting a bunch of dry rice in a Ninja blender and blending the heck out of it until it's pulverized. And then just dump a bunch of it in there and kind of jiggle it around like that. Okay. Now gonna take this one that I pre-shaped with my bench scraper, put it back down, and work it again. It kind of relaxed a little bit, so I'm just gonna do this again. Get it into its tight on the ball. All right, once it looks nice, upside down into the banneton, like this. These proofing baskets come with a little canvas liner. You can do it with the canvas liner if you want to, and if you like the way the rings look when they make an impression of the flower on the boule, don't use the liner. Usually when I don't use the liner, I put a little bit of extra rice flour, like that. Then I take really fancy produce bag, put it in, and trap some air in the bag, like that. Boop. Flip it with something, put it in the fridge. This is what you do if you don't have a proofing basket. Take a dishcloth, put it in a stainless steel bowl or any bowl at all. Put your rice flour in here. Like this. Rice flour is important, I have found. If you want to know why, that'll be a different video. All right. Remember, this is the one where I didn't use the bench scraper, I just kind of did my method that has no name. Okay. It's kind of like a ball. Again, it has some tension on the outside. Plonk. Can't hurt to put a little right around the edges so you don't get it to stick to the dishcloth. Produce bag. Stick the thing in. Trap air. Clip. And put in the fridge. Right now it's 4:00 p.m. I'm gonna come back tomorrow whenever I feel like. Could be in the morning, could be in the middle of the day, or could be in the late afternoon. Doesn't matter. Some people probably think the flavor's better if you go a little longer, but I'll come back to video how to bake it. Hello, it's almost 3 p.m. the day after I shaped my dough, and about an hour ago I preheated the oven to 500 degrees, and I put in the oven a large combo cooker and a second Dutch oven that's probably between 4 and 5 quarts. You'll see it when we go to put the dough in the oven, but it's important to preheat those for about an hour to get your vessels good and hot. And now I'm going to show you what I do with the dough after I take it out of these proofing baskets and bowls we had. This has been in the fridge the whole time. This is our dough in the banneton. Okay, I'm going to put a piece of parchment over the top. Take something flat, could be a peel like this, and then flip it upside down. Okay, ta-da! Oh, that's pretty. It's nice and cold. And I just kind of push some of the rice flour off. The next thing you need is a sharp double-edged razor blade People use a lame, which is a tool that helps you hold the razor blade. I quit using that because I thought it was annoying, and I am just gonna hold it in my fingers. This one, I think I'll do a pattern where I score one line directly across, one line in the opposite direction, and maybe this time I'll put some little radial lines coming out like that. And that's one. Now, okay, Daniela's filming me. Now I have my combo cooker. I have the flat part on the bottom. That's very hot. Now, I'm gonna toss my bread in here, and this just is like a little flick, like that. Right? Now, we take our top and cover it up like so. The idea is to cook it in a sealed vessel. Now we're back over here. Do it again. This one is the one that I did in just a regular bowl. All right, I hope this doesn't stick. Do the same thing. My parchment is cut diagonally because I guess I'm cheap. Flip. Ah, there you are. How should I do this one? I'm in the mood to try something new. I have never done it this way before. We're gonna see what happens. What happens if I do the spiral? I always thought this looked a little fussy, but we'll try it. When I'm scoring, I'm gonna make sure to use a really sharp blade. I go at least 1 centimeter deep. You can practice with how deep you want to score it. When I first started baking, I used to just take a scissors and gash some holes in the top, and it wasn't pretty.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're gonna put this one in, and this is how you put it in a Dutch oven. Same process, just be confident. Ah. Okay. That is hot. It's 500 degrees, be careful. All right, now we close it. Now, the one on the left went in a couple minutes earlier than the one on the right, but whatever. I'm setting the timer for 25 minutes, and then I'm gonna walk away. Okay, this is the fun part because you get to see how big it got. Ready? Oh, it's hot. Oh, okay.
One from over here.
Okay, let's see what that looks like.
It smells really good.
That opened up pretty well. I gotta put the lid down. All right. Now we have to decide about the other one. I'll take the lid off. I put it in a couple minutes later, so I was gonna give it a little more time, but I'll just take it off. Ready? Poo, there's your spiral.
Wow, that looks super cool.
Thanks, man. Okay, push back in. Open, closed. And now I'm gonna turn the temperature down. Oops, wrong oven, cancel. 450 or 425, I just turn it down a little bit. Set the timer again for, I'll set it for 20 minutes and then I'll come back and look at it. Probably needs between 20 and 25 minutes. So I'll come back and look at it in 20 minutes and see how dark it is. Yeah, that spiral is fun. That's fun too. All right. Okay, I'm gonna take them out now. One. Okay, this one looks beautiful. Oh, can't get it out easily. This one looks a little dark. Probably should have taken it out sooner. Whew.
Whoa, what happened to that one? Oh, okay, sorry, I forgot.
Now she's gonna.
So I think the one I put in first came out a little dark. Also came out flatter than usual, but I have a feeling it's going to be tasty. This one came out great over here. I have a hard time getting it out.
I saw a glitch.
Okay, that's perfect. Check it out. Nice oven spring, as they say. Fun design. Okay, I'm gonna put it down. Resist the urge to cut into these immediately. Let them cool for at least 10 minutes. Enjoy.